Hey yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we have a little bit of a special video. We do this mini-series on our channel, as some of you may know, where one of us tries to get the other one into a band we've never really listened to before. And today, TV Fish is gonna try to get me into a band. And I know you guys know what this is because you can see the title of the video, but I, right now, as of right now, have no idea what this album is. So TV Fish, tell me, and the viewers who already know, what album I'm gonna be listening to today.
Alright, so today is going to be Vile Self's first impressions of Ghost Reveries by Opeth. Alright, so Opeth is a band that I love. Been into them for a long time, and I know you've told me a little bit, you've had a little bit of experiences with listening to their music. Could you comment on that?
Sure. I've given Opeth a chance a couple times. Didn't really jive with me. And I think it's because my first time ever hearing Opeth was live. And I remember the show I was at. It was a festival. And the festival was crazy. Like, the pits were crazy. The whole thing was such high energy. And Opeth was the second last band to go on. And the mood just died. Everybody just stopped moving, everybody was just standing there watching the stage, and the songs felt like they just went on forever. And I actually left during their set because it was so boring. And that's, I mean, oh god. I saw them live again at another festival a few years after that, and it was almost the same thing. Like, everybody was up at the front having a great time, circle pits, body surfing, all kind of stuff like that. And then when Opeth came on, that was kind of like the moment where everybody kind of left and went and got food and went and chilled and went and sat on the grass. I just feel like, I don't know, they lack some energy or they lack some sort of spark or something like that. I feel like I'm not the only one that feels that way. But granted, I have never sat down and listened to an Opeth album.
Yeah, I mean, your experience is live, and that's something vastly different from just straight up listening to the discography of a band.
It's true.
So this band is very atmospheric.
Yep.
It's very, very emotional and heartfelt, but I feel like with their older material, it's a lot, like, it has a lot of punch to it that I feel may surprise you.
Okay.
And, nowadays the band isn't in their melodic death metal roots anymore. They're more so of a progressive rock band, I would say. But they still perform, the more metal stuff nowadays, so they still have that connection. It's just, with the music they're producing now, it's a lot different. But for our purposes, Ghost Reveries is my favorite Opeth album. Like I said, I got into them years ago. My friend gave me Still Life and Blackwater Park, and I liked both of those, but once I heard Ghost Reveries, it took everything from those albums and just turned it up a notch. So I feel like, I listened to those three albums when I was deciding on which one to give you. And, it hit me that, while Still Life and Blackwater Park are both great, and I feel like most Opeth fans would recommend Blackwater Park, personally, I feel like it's easier for me to sell Ghost Reveries because I love that album so much.
Fair enough.
So,
without further ado,
we're gonna take a look. Vile's gonna listen to this album for the first time in its entirety, and we'll be right back for Vile Self to give you guys his first impressions of Ghost Reveries. Stay tuned. Alright guys, we just got finished listening to Ghost Reveries for the first time for Vile Self. So, Vile, tell me what you thought of this album after your first time ever hearing it.
First time listening, first thoughts, first impressions. Good but not great. That's my first impression, okay? Good but not great. And I'll tell you why. And I think this is a credit to the album itself. There's a lot going on in this album. This is a very full sounding album. There is no empty space on this album. And that's gonna contradict something I'm gonna say a little later because, but what I'm trying to say is there's a lot there. It's a lot to take in at once, right? And there's a lot going on and it switches up a lot. So I feel like this is the type of album that is gonna take multiple listens to kind of learn the songs, kind of know what avenues they're going and what direction they're going with the music to really start to appreciate it, because when you're listening to it for the first time, for me anyways, the constant change of direction in the music and the constant, like, it's constantly changing veins, that just throws me off to a point where I get disengaged. But once I start to learn songs and stuff like that, I become much more familiar with it and I'm able to appreciate it more. So I'd say my first impression is definitely a little underwhelming comparative to what it's gonna be at the end of the week. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this at the end of the week, but I just wanna point out that good but not great is definitely room for improvement on that opinion.
Yeah, you make a good point there.
Yeah.
You know, you have the entire week. Are there any songs specifically that stood out to you, or did it all kind of blend in?
I will say that they did all kind of blend in. Like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to remember anything that really stood out in any specific track where I went, oh yeah, that's an individual thing that really sticks out. I'm sure there are things, but like I said, there's just so much going on. But there is one track that did stick out to me the most. It is my highest rated track, and that is track number 6, Hours of Wealth, which is actually probably the slowest, most melodic song on the entire album. And this is the part where I'm saying it's going to contradict what I said, because I said this album has no space in it, yet this song is extremely spacious. Now, I'm using that same word, but in 2 different contexts, right? When I say it's spacious, I'm not saying that it's got empty space. I'm saying like, you're listening to it and the vocals, which are pretty much sure the whole song's clean vocal on this specific track, but it just fills the whole room, and that's what I mean by spacious. It just fills the atmosphere is just there. I don't know what the song was about. I'm pretty sure it was piano. I was having a hard time also picking out what instruments I was listening to, because they're using effects and they're using all kinds of stuff, which is pretty cool. I like when they do that. But the song just sounded beautiful. And I was just right into it. Like, this is just gorgeous music. And it's really pleasing my ears. I really like this. So out of all the tracks, out of all 8 tracks, that's the one that kind of got to me the most. Even though it's the most mellow, it's the most melodic, it's the most soft, whatever you want to call it. I felt like it was the one that just got me the most interested. It impressed me the most. The vocal performance on this album is amazing, through and through. I'll say that. From beginning to end, I was impressed by the vocals. The clean vocals are great. There's 2 or 3 styles of clean vocals, and I asked you if there's one singer or multiple singers, and you said it's just one singer.
Just Michael.
And he also does the growls, which this guy's got a sick growl. Very, very nasty growl. Very deep, very good, what's the word, enunciation or pronunciation on the words. And I was impressed by that. I was impressed by the vocals through the whole thing. Actually, I will say that musicianship-wise, this whole band is like really on point. You hear a lot of really fine guitar playing. Pretty sure they're playing on 8-string guitars, maybe some 12-string, a lot of acoustic work, a lot of electric work, obviously, some cool soloing, some nice deep bass licks here and there. You got everything, man. It's got everything. I'm pretty sure I heard some harp in there. I heard bongos, I heard congas, I heard pianos, I heard synthesizers. I like when bands bring all that stuff to the table. I really do. It just adds so much flavor to the music.
Yeah, and you know, especially for the context of, you know, your first impression going into a review, you have an entire week to kind of explore all the different stuff that this album has.
Right.
Part of why I chose it, and part of why I like it so much, is because it has so much content. There's so much to explore with all the tracks.
Yeah. If I had to talk about a least favorite song, I have a couple that were kind of lowly rated, but really the last song, which is Isolation Years, I really didn't feel like that song offered much, but as an outro track, I feel like it's okay for it to be like that, because it is an outro track. It's kind of just the closer of the album. It's not really supposed to have, I mean, it could have a big bang to close, but it doesn't have to. And I think they went with that route where they're just gonna close it easily, they're gonna shut the door lightly, they just say goodnight, tuck you in, and then they're over with it, right? But the track itself, the song itself, didn't really do anything for me. I was trying to take notes, I had nothing to write. I was just, you know, when's this gonna be over kind of thing. Thankfully, it's one of the shorter tracks on the album, so it didn't last too long. But other than that, my ratings of tracks were kind of varied, mostly in the mid-range, but like I said, Hours of Wealth was my highest rated song. The Grand Conjuration was also a pretty highly rated song, as well as, which is song 7 by the way, and song 5 as well. So 5, 6, and 7, which is basically the second half of the album, minus the last track, was definitely stronger than the first half for me. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting contrast they did, because a song like The Grand Conjuration kind of fits with the tracks that are at the beginning of the album, like in terms of musical theming.
Yeah.
So, you know, I find it interesting that that one stands out to you as opposed to the first 3.
Yeah, I'm not sure what about the first three didn't quite grab me properly, but I mean, I like stuff about them. I wrote cool notes and stuff like that, but I just, when it got to the Grand Conjuration, I was just like, there's something about it. It was this deep, I don't know if it was a synth or if it was just a guitar effect or whatever, but it had this deep, don't even know how to describe it, whatever noise it was, whatever riff it was they were playing, I was like, it was driving me. I was like, yes, this has something to it. This has something, some beef to it. I like that. The other songs had parts in there were cool and stuff like that, but it just didn't have that little extra element, that little extra flair, that fierceness that I got attracted to for the Grand Conjuration. But either way, I'm looking forward to listening to this album for the week. I feel like it's got a lot to offer. I feel like I'm gonna learn a lot from it. I feel like it's definitely gonna grow on me, even though right now I'm kind of on the fence-ish.
But you see some strong potential on this.
There's definitely strong, there's totally strong potential on this album. I can see it there, I just have to find it. I have to find it and I have to teach myself how to appreciate it. That's how I feel right now.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you have a positive outlook on this album going forward throughout the week, and Vile is going to listen to this album constantly over and over and over and over throughout the entire week. And we will be right back next week with both of our review of Ghost Reveries by Opeth. Guys, remember to like the video if you liked it, comment, tell us what you think of Opeth, what do you think of their current sound, what do you think of their older sound, what do you prefer?
Do you like this album? Let us know in the comments below.
Yep, we read all your comments. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, because we always got metal stuff coming to you guys all the time. I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Vile Self.
See you guys later.